guys, this is that Apple Guy, back at it again with another video. Today we're going to be seeing if the Galaxy A03s is still worth it in 2024, not 2022. This phone was released in 2022. It's not 2022. First, let's talk about the display. The display is a 6.5-inch 1600 by 720 display, so it's really not nice. It's an LCD panel and it doesn't have great viewing angles. And also, if we go into settings, if we go into display, there's no motion smoothness on here because this is not a 90 hertz panel. This is a 60 hertz 720p panel, which it really doesn't look good. And it also doesn't have great bezel. It has an 81.86 screen to body ratio. We're going to be getting that more narrow but taller screen, which is nice if you're scrolling on something like Facebook or Instagram. The processor in this guy is a MediaTek Helio P35 processor, which is pretty low end, and it only has 3 gigabytes of RAM and 32 gigs of storage, which 32 is not a lot at all. You can only download a couple apps. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 apps. Let's see how much storage is full. And I got a couple photos and videos. As you can see, there's only 13 gigabytes available. It's really not good. So some stock apps and a couple apps downloaded has already 57% used. 32 gig is not going to be a lot, but thankfully you have that micro SD card expansion. A really bad disadvantage is the RAM. Phone only features 3 gigabytes of RAM, which I think the minimum on any phone, budget or not, it should be at least 4. But thankfully we do have RAM Plus, so we can use 4 gigabytes or 2 gigabytes to extend that RAM. But it does take up your 32 gigs of storage. I wish we would have at least 64 in here, because at this time in 2024, the A03s is not in the USA right now. It's an international phone, and the A03s is the only phone that's in the US that you can get from a carrier like US Cellular, T-Mobile, or Verizon. Another big disadvantage on this is software. This phone is stuck on Android 13 or One UI 5, which you might not think is old, but it's not going to be getting your new notification center or your new clock styles. But at least you can customize this lock screen. But still, it's really not that great. One great advantage of this phone, though, is it's packing 5,000 milliamp hour battery. This thing will last forever, especially since it's running on a 720p screen. One thing that I don't like on this is it doesn't fast charge. I believe it only charges at like 5 or 10 watts. It's really slow. Okay, so it does say 15 watts, but I haven't noticed that. For me, I plug in a fast charger, and it takes about 6 hours to charge. It's really slow. If we take a look around the phone, though, you can see this really weird camera. This is a 5 megapixel front camera. It's really bad. On the bottom here, we're going to be getting your, sorry, I had to go in the macro mode. You're going to be getting your single speaker, your USB Type-C port, your noise canceling microphone, and your headphone jack. And along the side here, we get our SIM/micro SD card slot. Top here, we're getting another noise canceling mic. And on the right side, you're getting your volume rocker and your fingerprint/power button. Let's go ahead and test this out. This is the first phone that comes with it. Why is it so dirty? And it's actually really freaking fast. Alright, so that works really well. And one thing I want to say about the processor. This MediaTek Helio P35 with 3 gigabytes of RAM and 32 gigabytes of storage just ain't gonna cut it. The phone is slow and laggy doing simple things. Let's go ahead and clear all of our apps, and we're just gonna try to use this phone like normal. Let's go into Play Store. Let's go TikTok. Let's open this up. And you can just see how slow this phone is. It's really taking a while to load this app. Let's wait till that video loads, and that video is now loaded. So it's actually still loading, and it's just laggy. Once you start pushing the phone or even doing some simple tasks, it's gonna really get some hiccups. Let's try simple gaming though. Go ahead and launch Doom. I wanted to see how this runs on this phone. Now again, this is gonna take a while to launch up because this is a slow phone, but I'll be back when it's launched. Now we have loaded up into Doom, so let's see how this runs. Okay, a little bit of lag. Again, I'm doing this through a camera, so I don't really know what the hell I'm doing. I'm literally looking through a camera right now. Okay, so it looks like it's not too bad for games. But look, I I wanted the button so many times it wouldn't come up. And look, yeah, it's slow just doing simple tasks. And that equivalates to the Geekbench 5 benchmark. Geekbench 6 isn't able to download on this. It's just not the processor ain't good enough for it, I guess. But a Geekbench 5 score tells us really why this phone's bad. It has a single core score of 173 and a multi-core score of 879, which anything under 200 nowadays is really freaking unbearable. And especially pairing that with 3 gigabytes of RAM and 32 gigabytes of storage. This phone is just a recipe for disaster. Let's go ahead and talk about the cameras now. On the back, there's a triple camera setup with a 13 megapixel main camera, a 2 megapixel macro, and a 2 megapixel depth sensor. So we're not getting an ultra wide camera on this phone. And it's really bad that we have a 13 megapixel camera without optical image stabilization, and it's 13 megapixels. What I like about this phone is the back design though. It's cheap plastic, and it's kind of weird, but it actually feels nice in the hand. It doesn't feel cheap or like it's gonna fall apart. But I've seen a lot more phones that have much better plastic backs, but I'm just saying, it doesn't feel cheap in the hand. Launching up the camera app here, let's take a look at the modes this phone has. Looking at the camera app, we're getting an older look, the Android 13 look. It doesn't look like the new look of the Android 14 look. If I grab my A15 5G here, it doesn't look new like this, so it doesn't have the nicer, cleaner look, but it still looks fine. But it just really sucks how we're getting stuck on Android 13, but the processor probably wouldn't handle it. Here we don't get a 0.5 option, we have a 1x, 2x, and we can go all the way up to 10x, which is really cool. Up here we have our different 3x4, 9x16, 1x1 for Instagram, or full for like a YouTube thumbnail. We don't have a 50 megapixel, 48 megapixel mode because this phone just shoots in 13 all the time. One thing that we have that's cool is a group selfie mode. So you can take a group selfie if you have 2 people in the shot, which is really cool. And I'm surprised we actually get this on this phone. We don't even get that mode on the Samsung A13 5G. Go into settings up here, we can look at the different camera modes. So we have swipe shutter button to take a burst shot or create a GIF. Save selfies as previewed. Auto HDR, which I would turn off because it actually looks better with it turned off. We also have grid lines, so if we go here, we can see our grid, which is pretty freaking cool. Location tags, shooting message, setting to keep. You can also do a watermark, shutter sound, and more. So if we go over here, we do have our portrait, so we can get those nice blurred out shots. We can go from 0 to 7, which is really freaking cool. And we could do that for things also. We also have video, which maxes out at full HD 30, or you could do just an HD 30. And then in more, we have Pro, Macro, Panorama, Food, and Hyperlapse. Let's test out that photo, not macro, photo. Alright, so I have this Bose speaker that I'm going to test to see if it gets these little spots here. As you can see it because it's recording on a much better camera than this. But let's just go ahead and take this shot. And now I'm going to put you in macro mode of this iPhone. Okay, now you guys can see a little bit better on how this looks. It actually really doesn't look bad. The colors come out good. Overall, it just looks pretty good. Okay, so we're going to zoom in. And yeah, you could see that Bose clearly. You could see these dots very clearly. The camera actually isn't bad on this phone. If we head into more, we can head into that dedicated macro mode. Whoops. Macro mode. So now we can get nice and close up and take a close-up image. So let's go this way. Wow. That is really cool. Here are some photo and video samples. Hey guys, this is a video test on the Galaxy A02s. Here's a video coming soon. Sneak peek. That's my phone. Computers. There's a recording setup. Yeah, so I don't know how this looks. Let's do a little zoom here. 2x, 4x. Let's do a focus. Okay. next. Okay. So that's the video. Okay, so how did those photos and videos come out? Hopefully this was interesting and you learned something from this, because this phone I wouldn't buy. I wouldn't buy this phone unless it's $40 or $60 maybe. But I wouldn't buy this phone if it was $100 or even $80. It's just not worth it, and there's way better options out there. Thank you guys for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.